Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar, How to Get Complete Control and Visibility of IT Assets with a Unified ITSM ITAM solution. This webinar is brought to you by Express Computer in partnership with Symphony Summit AI. I'm Sudipta Dev, Senior Associate Editor with Express Computer. We are all aware of the constant evolution that's happening in IT companies, and these changes range from people to processes to technology. And technology, in fact, is becoming more and more complex. And in this context, IT service management and IT asset management are closely related when it comes to managing information technology. And integrated as a unified solution, these offers umpteen benefits to IT companies, like improving visibility, reducing costs, improving efficiencies, etc. So joining us today are our speakers for the day, Rajasekharan Unikrishnan, Director Marketing, Symphony Summit AI, and Jayendharan Sridharan, Senior Solutions Consultant, Symphony Summit AI, who will make us aware of how an integrated solution can improve asset utilization and much more. But before I hand over to them, I will read out the house rules first. So this is an audio and video webinar being broadcasted live and will be available as on demand on our website. There will be polls in between the webinar. I request you all to kindly participate. We will have a round of Q&A at the end of the webinar. However, you can send in your questions anytime during the session using the questions box, and we will address the same based on the time after the presentations. If you face any technical issues, please try to refresh your browser or else reach out to our team using the same questions text box. If any of your questions are unanswered, we will connect with you over email to address the same. So that's all from my side. Without taking any more of your time, I'd like to invite Rajasekharan to take the session forward. Over to you, Rajasekharan.
Thanks, Sudipta, ma'am, one more time, and thanks everyone for taking time out to join this webinar. We are just a few days away from Diwali, and there's a lot of excitement in the air, a lot of festival spirit. And from Symphony Summit, we would like to wish everyone a happy Diwali and make every experience count on this Diwali. And at Summit AI, we specifically focus on delivering exceptional employee experience and customer support. Happy Diwali. Coming back to the core agenda of today's webinar, I would like to start with narrating a customer case study. This sort of really set a good context of the topic of the webinar, and my colleague Jay will showcase real use cases and the demo of the solution. This is about leading a global ITS organization with multiple offices in India and London, US, and Philippines, and with 35,000 employees. They recruit people in large numbers. If you really look at the last 2 years, they've recruited over 6,000 employees. And specifically, since they operate in the ITES business, the attrition rate is very high compared to the rest of the industry. The attrition rate can be anywhere from, say, 30 to 35%. And the recruitment, the large number of the recruitment which they do is tied to the business requirement the organization has, and probably the specific skill gap which is required to deliver the solution for the customers. And the recruitment happens across their branches. It could be the major delivery centers were like Bangalore, Chennai, Pune, NCR, and Philippines. And they recruit in large numbers, and they used to manage their the entire IT assets on a spreadsheet. They had many challenges. The kind of challenges which the organization had, say for example, as mentioned, that they recruit in large numbers. Say for example, the 200 people who leave from, say, Bangalore office, but they have to sort of really recruit maybe say 400 or 500 people in the Bangalore office. Hinjewadi campus in Pune, maybe like 150 people exit in a month, and they have to recruit about 300 people. And NCR campus had to recruit about maybe 750 people. Like that, they were doing mass recruitment. And one end, people were actually exiting the organization due to attrition, and then they were sort of really hiring more and more people to join in the organization. The IT department did not have any visibility of this exit of the employees and the new recruitments that's really happening. They actually went on purchasing IT assets, not just the IT assets, along with the IT assets, all the Windows and Office 365 applications and the other thing. So one end, they were actually just continue to recruit, continue to invest on new IT assets based on the new recruitment, but there were actually many people leaving the organization, and the IT department did not have a visibility, and they didn't have a control on the entire IT landscape. So they kept overspending on the IT assets. So this is where the a sophisticated, a robust IT asset management solution can deliver. It can help deliver, get a better control of their IT landscape and provide better visibility. See, for this customer, after removing to SymphonyAI, they were able to sort of really save more than 40% in their IT investments. That is the kind of a savings which we were able to really generate by just moving to a robust IT asset management solution. Let me illustrate another employee engagement journey. See, for example, in the same organization, or probably in many of the organizations, I'm sure that as an IT decision makers, you would really experience onboarding of the employees and the offboarding of the employees. So, for example, when a new employee joins in an organization, look at the process one had to really go through it. Say, for example, a new employee joins, so they had to go through training, software installation, and they would have many queries related to the salary. They would probably want to, during the employee journey, they would want to probably upgrade the laptop, maybe say after some time, and relocate the offices, travel, and various service requests an employee had to really go through during their stint in the organization. Today, most of the organization manually manage the same. So how you could actually think about automating the entire onboarding to an offboarding process, right from the employee who joins the organization, and automating this entire process, entire steps the employee had to sort of really go through it, and various service requests and the service needs which they will have during their journey, life journey in that organization. And when the person leaves, and just making sure that okay, the assets are recovered and the all the access to the various applications and everything is really logged. How you could actually automate this onboarding to an offboarding. Okay, that's another great use case which we will really talk about it. And this is the benefit of that, investing in a software asset management solution that could really help automating this entire onboarding to an offboarding exercise. What SymphonyAI ITSM management solution does is that it helps to get complete control and visibility of the IT assets and the entire IT landscapes of the organization. It helps delivers better visibility, help ensure to the regulatory compliance the organization will have it. I'm sure the organization will have various regulatory compliance in terms of that, okay, blacklisting certain applications and blacklisting certain sites, and there are certain things, okay, if there is an asset which is coming up, or application which is coming up for a renewal, okay, making sure that okay, it is renewed as per that, okay, you have a better visibility of it and adhering to the regulatory compliance. And the other one is about the cost spending. Okay, you don't end up going on and investing on the software, how best you could actually reallocate, repurpose, redeploy the solutions and the licenses which you have. And improve security. Specifically, we live in a hybrid world where employees work from home and from offices, and making sure that okay, there is an improved security which is there. And of course, IT asset management solution has to integrate with the IT service management, then you can actually automate many of the things. If something goes wrong, so there is a ticket gets raised on an ITSM platform, and then it just goes on to the right department to solve it. So integration between IT service management, IT asset management, and IT service management, an important thing which we offer. The interesting features our IT asset management solution has. One is the agentless discovery, asset controller, and software metering, software compliance, and software normalization. Real-time inventory management, that is both for hardware and software, and IT asset ownership reporting system to ensure the optimal assets ordering and utilization of it, patch management and software distribution. And then there's a tight integration with the service catalog, which you can really do with that, which we will demonstrate in the next few minutes. So these are some of the highlights of the SymphonyAI ITSM management solution, and more we will just cover in the subsequent slides. Before we really jump on to the real use cases and the demonstration of the product, I'm not sure how many of you here know about Symphony Summit AI. So I just want to spend a few slides to sort of really get you up to speed about Symphony Summit, where we stand now, so you have a better understanding about our top three profile. Symphony Summit AI is an AI-powered IT and enterprise service management solution with multiple offerings like IT service management, IT enterprise service management, asset management, service automation, and AI-powered digital agent, which we call it as CD. And SymphonyAI is our parent company, which drives with the mission of delivering AI-driven enterprise solution as a SaaS offering. If you look at that in the market, there are various companies which help solve the business to consumer problems, but whereas the SymphonyAI focus is on delivering and solving the business problems in the enterprise space, leveraging AI and automation. So that's essentially the thesis the SymphonyAI operates. Symphony Summit has customers across the globe, right from North America to Japan, Australia, UK, Middle East, Southeast Asia, and South America. And with offices in North America, India, of course, where we are based and the R&D centers, and with offices in Southeast Asia and UAE. We have 300 plus customers, and what you see here are some of the reference logos of us. There are various industry recognitions which we got. We've been featured in Gartner, IBC, and we've been a preferred choice of CIO for last 5 years in a row. And if you look at it, this is a Gartner Peer Insights Voice of the Customer report, which is available on public domain. If you look at it as an IT decision makers, before you invest in an IT solution, you evaluate a product based on various parameters. If you just look at the parameters like that, okay, product capabilities, and evaluation and contracting, integration and deployment, customer support. SymphonyAI scores far higher across all these parameters compared to the next best alternatives in the market. So if you really look at across the nearest competitors, SymphonyAI scores higher on all the parameters. And so this report continues to really talk about that how Symphony Summit AI performance in the different sectors of these industry segment. If you really look at that, okay, Summit AI has been featured as the customer's choice in the large enterprise space, which you just see it here in the top quadrant. Summit AI has been featured, and specifically across the mid-size to the enterprise category. Again, Symphony Summit AI has been featured as the customer's choice, and in the services industry specifically, the customers have really rated us as the customer choice. And of course, in Asia Pacific region, so we have a leadership and we've been positioned as the customer's choice. And many industries and verticals we operate in, we have a leadership. If you really look at telecommunication, financial services, if you look at financial services, we work with at least 40 plus BFSI companies in India and in Asia. And when it comes to the automobile, most of the leading automobile players, like right from Toyota to Honda, Maruti Suzuki, Bajaj Auto, all of them are actually our customers. And we have, again, the leadership in the technology and the consulting space, and of course in the manufacturing, healthcare, and the consumer space. And these are some of the reference logos which you see here. And this is the last slide, and then after that, I will hand over to Jay. I hope his audio is better compared to mine, and he should be able to deliver, showcase the solution better. So if you really look at it, as I mentioned, that our offerings are IT service management, enterprise service management, asset management, service automation, and CD. Uh, our solution is not just used by the IT department. Most of the customers we work with, they have expanded their portfolio of business beyond IT to the non-IT functions like HR, facilities, finance, and various line of business. So they leverage our applications. They can access the application using various systems of engagement, right from Microsoft Teams, Slack, Skype, web chat, email, mobile applications, and the other things, so they can interact with our application. And our solution is multi-tenant. It is on-premise as well as on cloud, predominantly SaaS. And in case of a customer would like to sort of really have it on their on-premise, that is possible. Or the choice of their preferred choice of cloud, we can move to your preferred choice of cloud. And but what differentiates our solution from the rest of the players is the mid layer, what you see here, which is the systems of intelligence, which is essentially does leveraging AI and automation, does things like that, okay, intent identification, intent classification, workload management, and intelligent self-service and automation. So this mid layer essentially differentiates Symphony Summit from the rest of the players. This is essentially our platform and the product suite. With that, I would like to invite Jay, and I'm sorry about that. Okay, my audio had some issues about it. I hope that okay, we will be able to do justice. I think my colleague Jay will be able to do a demonstration and showcase the other use cases, and hopefully with a better audio. With that, Jay, would you like to just take control of it?
Yeah, thanks, Raj. Thanks for that. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this specific webinar when we're looking at the visibility when it comes to IT asset management along with the IT service management here. Before we started, like Raj said, season's greetings to everybody. So this, what you're viewing currently is what we call in SymphonyAI is something called an end user's dashboard. So this is where the journey generally starts to all users once they start using the Symphony Summit page. So like this, we have multiple dashboards, to each supporting different teams, different members who are using the product, who admin the product. They have different screens which come up here. But today what we're going to be looking at is how traceability, visibility helps business organizations today, and have that kind of a control on what is happening with the asset management, each of the assets, and so on and so forth. So like I said, so today if you take the journey Raj was talking about, even though his voice is unclear, I'm sure some of you all would have heard words like employee onboarding, employee offboarding, what happens during that journey, and how quick that journey has to be, and what kind of how the system can help that particular journey, and in this case how SymphonyAI helps that journey over here, making that more easy, comfortable for anybody who's there, not just for the team who recruits. Some organization call them talent and acquisition, but or a simple recruitment team, and also the journey who's joining the organization. Always the first impression is the best impression, right? So you want to make sure everything goes smooth and the journey is there. So first things first, let's say if I happen to be a general user who comes into the system, and I'm already in the system as an employee, but I would want to have some accessories, or probably if I'm requesting for a software, anything of that nature, right? I normally would go in and say I want to order something, and then that journey starts. So I've opened it up in a new tab. So in this tab, as you can see here, I have those specific requests which I can make. Either I can make them for hardware assets, in this case, which can be laptops, your computer peripherals, mobile device, anything like voice communication, which can be just an IP phone. It's still considered as a hardware device. Or otherwise, I can look into something which involves softwares, something very specific to softwares which needs to be implemented for so that I complete the task, or probably if I'm part of a project, I need to make sure that that journey is also taken care and it's also smooth from that perspective. So now the reason is, one, as a user, I would probably just go here and make a request saying, I just need a laptop, and then the journey would start depending on what kind of a laptop here. Now, the way today, what we've configured is we've broken down some of them as each vendor or model. Like in this case, if you see MacBook and a Surface Pro, or you can just have a common one which says laptop request and have the users choose a specific model here. Now, once that selection happens, the entire request process goes on with approvals and whatnot. After that, you would go into the asset management where the system has to be allocated based on the request. Now, at that point in time, what happens is two things happens. One, from a visibility standpoint of view, you know what on a generic level, what kind of laptops are being requested by employees here. So you kind of get to understand, what kind of models are more comfortable to use compared to the other ones, right? So that's just to give in over here, which says that. But the second part of it is once it comes in, you get to go ahead and see that journey of making sure the allocation process takes place, right? So I need to know what my inventory looks like because they've asked for a certain model. I need to know what it looks like. And then based on that, I can go ahead and search. Now, every page in SymphonyAI today, when it comes to asset management, has a filter where you can use this filter for searching based on specific models, based on certain categories of these assets. So it doesn't matter if it's related to an IT or related to a non-IT, but it gets catered here. So from a traceability standpoint of view, at any point in time, you would have this information. As you can see these numbers here, I'm going to revisit this page. Before I revisit this page, let me go back to that request. And so I can go ahead and select the kind of request what I want to go ahead and ask for it. So before we get into this, let me just take one step back and let everybody know today the kind of offerings what we do, even though we're very specific to IT asset and the service management, but how does that bridge come across, and what else SymphonyAI offers? So if you look at all these modules onto your left, right? So if you look at incidents, the requests, the changes, the CMDBs, the knowledge problem, all these are part of the ITSM journey, right? But most of them, I wouldn't say all of them, but most of them, like for example, incident, request, change, CMDB, knowledge for that matter, very rare cases where problem is being introduced, the release, yes, of course, all of them happen to talk to asset management here. So we have a seamless integration going on within the ITSM and the IT asset management here. Now, for example, anything goes wrong with your laptop or your desktop, what do? You normally call the IT help desk, and then they go about it. So that's the journey where it starts with incident. So anything which is related to the incident, you can go ahead and start that journey from here, right? Now, how do we differentiate from that? If you look at saying, I need to get some help, I need to go ahead and report an issue, probably based on the asset which I'm facing. So we don't have to reinvent the cycle with the Summit Asset Management here. So what happens is that the journey starts right from the page where you can go ahead and log an incidents or log an issue. If you scroll right down, I have an option to go ahead and see what assets which have been allocated to me, and I get to choose, okay, this is the asset which I'm having a problem with. For example, today I'm using a laptop, so I might have a problem with that. I can choose that and go ahead and raise it. So now from a user's perspective, this happens to see that integration of an IT asset management in a very simple ticketing tool here. So from an incident perspective. So the journey, two things again happen here. One, there is an issue which is being logged for a certain asset. And two, once it goes to the asset team or the person who's going to be resolving it, gets to know from a visibility standpoint of view, which asset, what model, what configuration, all the other details of which belongs to that asset is available from that perspective here. So you get to see that from our journey. This is just one example. The second one is from a request which we just saw. We can request a laptop, desktop, any of that, and that happens to be there. Changes which happen normally on a CI, which can be part of your asset initially, and then comes to your CMDB, and that journey also happens over there. So at any point in time, what I'm trying to say is that right from having the assets allocated from a request, having the assets taken back, which we call it in our system as deallocation, all of this is visible because there's a a seamless integration within ITSM and the IT asset management today. So at any point in time, any journey, you're making sure you get to have the visibility of not just the assets which are available or what is there in my store or what kind of software I have, but where did that journey start? Who initiated that process? So that normally happens either from a request or either from an incident. Eventually, that's where the journey starts, and then you go into the asset management here. So once that happens here, what happens is you tend to go, and as an asset team, you have a dashboard. Like I said, we have multiple dashboards. So this is one of the dashboard which kind of represents all the assets which are there in the organization here. So as you can see, we kind of classified them into fixed assets, consumables, accessories, softwares. So now if I go to fixed and I have like 10,000 allocated assets, go select that, kind of breaks down, it drills down, and then it quickly shows me what are these assets, what category of assets. I just said allocated assets. I didn't specify whether they are laptops, desktops, monitors, mobile devices, firewall servers. I didn't say anything of that. So if I go into laptop, it further breaks down. It tells you what models of laptops have been allocated. And as you can see on the graph, once it comes up, most of them today, what we're doing is the Dell systems have been the ones which are highly being used. Now, again, please don't look at these numbers. This is just a demo system. But what you need to know is where we're coming from is the visibility of what is happening with your assets within that organization. So at any point in time, you have a clear visibility of what assets are being used, what models are being used, very specifically. That's part of what SymphonyAI offers today. Right? Obviously, all of them can be a standalone reports. We already have out-of-the-box reports available, but we don't just stop there. When we talk about traceability and visibility, we even go in a little more further, talking about variances. What changes have happened in hardware? What changes have happened in software? Compliance, another very, very important thing when it comes to compliance. Now, why am I showing this information is that if you notice that if there's an issue and if there's a change in hardware, what you normally do is you raise a ticket, which eventually happens to be an incident. And that incident journey follows, and then you also get to track them, and you have traceability of what changes have happened in whether it's a category like a desktop or a server, what changes have happened. But always you can start from where the journey started and then follow it up completely. Same thing with softwares. So today, someone who's got into a new project might have a request for a software which normally is an expensive software, but no, it's not given to everybody. So you have to make a request which goes into a set of approvals. Once it's been approved, you have the softwares being allocated here. And just to give you a brownie point from SymphonyAI today is that we have orchestration. In other words, once a request has been approved, orchestration can kick in and implement the software automatically in that the person who made that request in their system, right? So orchestration is another brownie point which we offer, but just letting you know, that's a whole different conversation. But we have that option to go on that. With compliance, you also know what softwares which we bought, which is still there in the system, which is unused, and probably the licenses it's not yet valid. So all that information has been provided. Operating systems, what operating systems are being used. And this becomes very, very important. Now, this is another journey where you have ITSM coming into ITAM. Now, if you look at this very specific one called pending acceptance. So today in SymphonyAI, what we do is that when we allocate an asset, or the asset team goes in the journey of allocating. So there might be a request which starts from service request, which is an ITSM. So once it's been requested, they provide the asset and gets allocated. Once it allocates in our system, we have an option where users have to go ahead and they have three options. One is to accept, two is to reject, or three is to return. So obviously acceptance, once you accept, then the system is all fine. Probably you're rejecting it for reasons being it might not be working fine, or there might be some errors. So that's the reason you're rejecting. When it comes to in return, as a standard, probably based on a certain designation, you get to get, let's take an example. Somebody onboards today and has a printer, right? So the printer, that person is comfortable using, the flow printer. They don't need to use, the printer which is given to them, so they can return that. So that's one example. So this report becomes very important, and you want to trace all the assets which have been allocated and whether the users who have come on board have accepted them. So that's what this information entails. So you have those options and many things like that. If somebody's made a request and the asset is actually coming from another store from another location to this location, again we have this option saying you get to track what assets are coming into the system here. So this again is a summarized dashboard of quick information on what you get to see, and obviously you can dive down deeper and get into details in this format. So each category of assets, how many have been allocated, how many are in store, how many are inactive, and the journey continues. So when I said continuous, so you can actually go in to the system and see based on the request which is being made, how many systems I have in my store and how many have been allocated, how many have gone for repair, and everything, every little journey gets tracked, and this makes it even more comfortable because you have either a request or a ticket which is kind of where the journey starts, and then you have this. So again, from a visibility standpoint of your traceability becomes very helpful. So as an asset team, how many systems of a certain model which is going, which is being troublesome, so you don't have to go back to either you talk to the vendor, ask them for a different model, or probably the version which the vendor has been given is something which is very faulty. All this becomes a very crude information when you take that decision, probably when you're forecasting for the future, that becomes very, very helpful. So it's always nice to have that kind of visibility and traceability. So just to give you an example, these are assets which are in my stock, so I can do an allocation bulk depending on the request which comes into the system. I'm going to take one step back. Now this, I kind of give you a journey of how, if it's a simple request which comes into the system, like a laptop or a desktop or a software, what happens. But let's take that journey which we talk about onboarding and offboarding. Again, very important. A lot of organizations pretty much have at least the base of the process to be similar in nature. Probably they might have 2 or 3 more steps. Now, for example, the way we do it in SymphonyAI, we have multiple options to go about doing it. But the main reason why we're doing this in SymphonyAI is to make sure we have, the recruitment team has the visibility of every step on that journey. That's one side of it. The second side is to make sure there's a quicker turnaround of time, especially when a person gets onboarded. We had some of our customers who had a 3-day onboarding process, and then orientation, and then every other process which to follow. So we stepped in and we kind of discussed and we designed our catalogs. We designed how it needs to progress, and we try to, and we cut short at that to an 8-hour window for an onboarding journey here. So one of such examples, what we did is we kind of created a package. So this is a request which comes as a package as a generic. If it's a generic onboarding, you can go ahead and you can have various categories when it comes to onboarding. But more importantly, very important is of course the access, but when it comes to the asset part, what kind of asset they're looking at, what kind of accessories are they looking at. Now, before this journey even starts, everybody is aware what is the amount of stock which is available based on a certain model, what configurations have happened. All that visibility is available in SymphonyAI, so that the person who's making this request, normally, obviously, it's not going to be the new employee, they might not have access, but the person who's sitting in the system has an access to go in either to a dashboard or either to a page which is of this nature, where they have enough information and then choose appropriately and have that journey cut short, rather than making them wait for probably a new asset or anything. So all of that visibility is available during this process. It makes it easy. And then after that, it's very simple. So each one would have we take it as tasks. We call them work orders in our system. So each one becomes a work order and it goes to the respective teams, and then they have to go ahead and provide. Now, from a visibility of how this journey goes, the person who's made this request gets to see the whole, every little work order or every little task which is being executed, and how long is it taking, is it being closed, all that visibility and more is available here. So again, from an onboarding process to an asset or to a generic asset, all this journey gets captured and tracked here. Now, the other thing, what I would also want to show is, now you're seeing everything from probably a request or ticket and a few things on what we can do in the asset management part. Now, if I go into one specific asset, right? Now, how do we track for a traceability standpoint of it for the entire asset team? Now, first is obviously the information of the asset itself. So I've picked a very specific asset, so I'm getting to see some details of that asset. So, you know, all the asset registry, the softwares which are available in that particular asset. I get to see the softwares, I get to see all the hardware information here. This is not what I wanted to show you, but more importantly is that journey between, or the relationship between an ITSM and an asset management here. So if I go to this relationship tab, now if you notice, all the incidents which were specifically raised for this asset is available here. All the requests which were made, also I get to see all of that request which is there. Now, this wouldn't happen if there's not that seamless integration between both these modules. Not just that, we can see work orders, is what I meant earlier. So if there's any task which, you know, this particular system has gone through, that'll be getting tracked, and we call them work orders. Contracts for this assets, any changes, any CIs. So if you notice, all these modules other than the contract management, all of them are part of the ITSM journey. So anything which happens, you know, where even an issue which is being logged in, all that gets tracked. And not only that, even though there's an incident which kind of leads to tracking, you can get to see what was the repair which happened in that. Probably because there's an incident which gets created, you get to trace what was the issue and what was the cost of that issue. And then after it comes back from a repair center, you get to track all your audit details, meaning to say, you know, which system or what components or what attributes were changed in this particular asset. And then you get to see the old value, the new value, and all of this. And even non-fixed assets, when we call non-fixed assets, like your accessories, consumables, someone who's asked for, let's say they made a request for an external hard drive, probably a 1 TB hard drive, you know, the memory is full, or they don't have space in their system. Now, where do they go? They normally would go and make a request once it's been approved, and probably since it's just an hard disk, there might not be any approvals. So they can just go back, but everything gets tracked in the system because of the visibility. And this is kind of going to help you know, any management team to know what exactly happens, how much of non-fixed assets being used, how much of assets are being used, how many softwares are being consumed and installed at any given point in time. And all this makes them understand that, you know, it's more like a strategy to help them, you know, basically control whether it's cost or you know, even take a probably assets. They have a control and make sure, you know, there's sustainability of what kind of assets being used and for the future also. So all this information provides that, and then this is a combination of both ITSM and ITAM over here, right? And obviously at any point in time, you know, you go back, you have reports, right? Which ideally becomes another important feature of the entire product. So after doing all this, you would want to have traceability of what exactly happened up, even though there might be certain team members who have access to those pages which I just showed you. But the best thing is, how do I showcase this to my management? How can they make those decisions easy by, you know, visually looking at it? and that's where the reports come in. So even though we've tracked those information, but I'm sure they would not want to go into every asset and see what details it is. They're like, at the end of the day, they like to see a report, probably some analysis and graphs, and that's where Summit provides with reports, and we provide individual module reports like incidents, like requests, asset, very specific to it, change, CMDB. Apart from that, at any point in time now, if I just for an example, if I get into incident management, you have two more options here. One is to create new dashboards or create new reports. So apart from the standard out of the box reports which come with the product, you still get to do this. And this we use BI reporting. So in case you'll want to represent the data which is already available in a certain trend analysis, so that the management has enough visibility to kind of think about what should happen next year, what kind of assets should be invested on, what vendors are much better. All of that happens to be from a reporting standpoint of view. So you not only have the out-of-the-box ones, but SymphonyAI provides you to create your own reports. So it doesn't matter if it's incident or asset or service. Like I said, it's a combination, right? Both go hand in hand. So you can have dashboards which represents both ITSM and ITAM, and then present that to your board here. So this is from a reporting. So let me probably show you an example of how a report looks, and then we can take it up from there. So like I mentioned, just to recap, it's basically to control a complete control of and have the visibility of any IT assets, which basically having a unified ITSM and ITAM products within one single panel. So you get to see everything in this. So let me quickly show you an executive dashboard. So so that's basically what this webinar is all about, as to how the journey starts, whether it's an onboarding and offboarding. And talking about offboarding also, since I told you, you have that acceptance from users every time an asset is being allocated. At any point in time, you can always go back and tell them that these assets were accepted probably back when you joined, a year back or 2 years back, and then now you're leaving the organization. So these are the assets counts which we are looking at. So please provide this, or return these assets. So again, traceability. You're tracking what happened probably 2 years back. You have that journey. We also have a journey called reconciliation. So at any point in time, after say 6, 8 months, 12 months, you can have a reconciliation process which happens in our asset management to go ahead and track is the assets being still used, is the software being used, or whatnot. So you can go about, if it's an expensive software, you can always if they're not using it, you can take it back and then work on this. So this is what I was talking about. So you can see there's a dashboard, and we have pinned up multiple tabs here, and within those tabs you have different sets of reports. This is one of the CSAT reports which I pulled out. So you can have as many tabs as you want. Each one is a standalone report. This is represented as a graph, but you can have data coming in and so on and so forth. So this is the journey within the SymphonyAI today. So this is one of the examples which I wanted to talk about here. Right? So just to recap again, this is to have complete control and visibility of all IT assets with a unified ITSM and ITAM solution is what we were trying to communicate in today's webinar today. Right? Can the host have the poll questions, please?
Okay, so I'll read out the poll questions. Are you looking for any of the following solutions in the next 6 to 12 months? We have 4 options here: IT asset management, asset lifecycle management, all of the above, or none of the above. I request the audience to please select one of the options. I'll again read out the question. Are you looking for any of the following solutions in the next 6 to 12 months? We have a few seconds left, so kindly do select one of the options. So, okay, I think We can now go ahead with the Q&A. I request the audience to send in their questions, and we will take them up one by one till the time permits. Okay, so we have the first question from Mr. Amit Gupta, and he wants to know, he's asking that end of, if he would like to track the complete inventory, and he called as real-time status of complete IT assets. Okay, so will support be provided by you, and even after allocation takes place from different locations?
Yep. All right. Let me answer that. So the answer is yes, definitely, Amit. So it's when we talk about a complete asset life cycle, so it's from the journey where it comes within in stock or in store, if you want to call it, and all the way till it gets disposed or decommissioned, another word which is being used. So yeah, the whole journey gets tracked even after allocation. Like I said, if there's any change in hardware, software, everything gets tracked within the SymphonyAI IT asset management system today. So yes, good question.
Thank you, Jayantharan. The next question is from Mr. Lalit Kumar, and he says, I want the following in the tools. Please confirm if you have the same. Physical asset verification, there should be a barcode or QR code or IT asset. User can scan the same and submit it, and the system should check if the asset is the same that was issued to him or a mismatch. And the report should go to the IT team for the assets shown mismatch. So,
okay, let me take that too. So, good question, Mr. Lalit. So, yeah, the answer is yes. We do have physical asset verification, and we have both a barcode and a QR code. You can choose either one of them to have them configured and have them, stuck onto each of your assets. And now talking about how do I go ahead and scan them? I mean, not how you want your users to scan, and if there's a mismatch, you would want it to be reported. So yes, we do also have a mobile app option where you can use the mobile app to scan your barcode or QR code, and then it'll automatically upload it or submit it, and then you would already have a report. We are out of the box. We have a report on any mismatched of what we call, in fact, we call that physical asset verification report itself, and you would have that. And just to add to that list of barcode and QR code, we help in integrating with RFIDs. We don't have our own RFIDs, but we help in integrating with RFIDs. In other words, you can have your RFID in your organization. What we do is we would integrate it with that software, and every time it scans or an asset leaves, it gets detected in the system, and that can be followed by a specific report if you're looking at it. So barcode and QR code is out of the box. RFID is through integration.
Thanks, Jayadharan. Next, Mr. Balakumar is asking, is there any integration or sync to AD server?
Absolutely, yes. So we can, I mean, it is out of the box again for us. So there is an integration, to within the AD server.
And Mr. Ranjan Kumar Sahu, he wants to know that whenever any asset is breaking down, will you be able to record the same?
Absolutely, yes. So we record them. We have a status called faulty, and under faulty, we have options where you can define what kind of reasons which needs to be listed as attributes, and that is totally configurable. When I say the word configurable, the admin of the organization who is adminning the SymphonyAI has the ability to go ahead and add as many reasons as they want, or the reasons which are most suitable for your organization, let me put it that way, and then you can obviously track them down. And this is also a logical way of looking at when you want to deactivate an asset, it has to have a valid reason. So just to add to what you're asking is that, the extension of deactivation cannot be on an asset which is good, of a good condition. Normally it has to be faulty, and then the journey starts up. So that's just to answer that. We also have that kind of a configuration available here.
That's great to know. And Mr. Aman Makhirna needs a little bit more clarity regarding the executive dashboard. So,
sure. So Mr. Amar, executive dashboard is something which we have created using our BI engine, BI reporting system. So what it does is it has 150 plus trend analysis or I would say parameters in which you can use the data which is available in SymphonyAI and go about configuring different sets of reports, different sets of graphs, different sets of representation of what you would like to showcase to your board or the executives today, what information you want. And this is one side of it. The second side to it is we also help in integrating. So like I said, if the data is available here, now what happens if the data is not available and you still want it to be represented in the SymphonyAI reporting system? So we can even integrate and have those data fetched, and then you can use our dashboards to represent it. When we use the word executive dashboard, it's just the name which we have given. It's not a dashboard called executive. You can name it. You can name it a CIO dashboard, a CFO dashboard. It's totally your call. But since you asked, it's just the name which we've given. But the functionality which is available is as equivalent as any business intelligence reporting.
thank you for clarifying this. Now, Mr. Verghese Paulos, he's asking whether the ticketing can be integrated.
Mr. Verghese, I've already answered that. If you're using the ITSM within SymphonyAI, it has already been integrated. But if you're using another tool, I'm going to say yes, because we do our integrations through APIs today. So I don't think it's going to be a challenge. But we can talk a little more if you're being a little more specific as to what you're currently using and whatnot. We're more than happy to get into a call and have that answered. But a simple answer right now is a yes, we can.
Sure. So I request Mr. Verghese to get in touch with Jayendran and get clarified, on a one-on-one basis. Now, Mr. Ranjan Kumar Sahu, he wants to know whether compliance is automated or a manual entry.
All right, we have both options for you, Mr. Ranjan. So we have an automated option. This is very specific to software. I'm giving an answer from a software perspective. Compliance, yes. We have manual. When we say manual, it's I would say the validity dates needs to be manually entered. That's one way to look at it. Automated is we have a system which has a huge software database which can look at compliance automated. We call that our advanced software asset management within SymphonyAI today. And both options are available, native and the advanced version. And native one gives you manual, the advanced gives you the automated one. So the answer is yes.
And Mr. Thiruvala Ravinder is asking whether the asset lifecycle management can be automated with this tool.
We already, can be automated. I would like to know any specific automations you're looking at. When we talk about ALM, or otherwise known as asset lifecycle management, the answer, when you say automated, some of the steps are automated. But I would, again, like I mentioned earlier, our team would be more than happy to get in touch with you and then sit across and what exactly you're looking from a life side. Because when you look at an asset life cycle, even though we just say from procurement to retirement, we track everything. But if you notice, there are multiple steps, multiple processes within the organization for us to track. So if you're looking at a specific process which you have in mind, we are more than happy to hear it. But I'm going to take and give you a soft yes right now, because we've done it for some of our customers. So I'm going to say a soft yes, but till we get to know a little more clarity from your end, I'll be more than happy to answer that. Yes, please.
Yeah, the next question is from Mr. Rajesh, and he's asking, he's saying that there are instances in an organization when a number of branches, which has a number of branches, and then, the assets are moved from one branch to another without information to the asset team. So can the tool control in any way in such a way that the asset that's unusable can be moved to another location?
Sure. It's actually a very good question. I'm sure a lot of customers will go through this. But honestly, if you look at any asset management tool today, anything, not just SymphonyAI, any asset management in the market today, what happens is it all comes down to how you admin the tool, right? You need to input the information, and that's what it is. Now, one earlier example which I'd mentioned, we have RFIDs. Now, that's another way of looking at it. So you can have an RFID which probably at the beginning of any entrance or at your gates, where every time the asset leaves a certain premises, there's an alert or it captures that information which finally feeds into the tool. And now, can I control it? That's the next big question. Now the control here is that it gives you that information, gives you that visibility and traceability. But I'm sure physically you cannot stop, but you have that information at what time the asset left, and who it left with probably has that information if it is being configured, right? So my answer is, I would say this is one way to look at it. The second way is we have a process within SymphonyAI today. We have wherein we call something called a gate pass. So every time an asset or a set of assets leaves a certain premises, the system first needs an approval. Second, it'll auto create a gate pass, which literally it's a hard copy. Once you print it, it becomes a hard copy with the barcode or a QR code, which was being configured, and all the approvals will be mentioned there. And it can have a digital signature as an option. If not, somebody has to physically sign it. But now all this the tool can provide if there's a process in place. So if there's a process in place, then you can actually use these features which are available from our tool here. So whether it's either leaving from one location to another, for that matter, we have approvals for floor movement, moving from one floor to another. Even that is there, but it's there in the system. Now, if they move it otherwise, then through an RFID or a barcode, we can scan it and give you that information here. So that's how we look at controlling, the assets which are leaving one location to another.
Thank you, Jender. Yeah, we do have a lot of questions from the audience, so we'll try to, take as many as possible. So Mr. Nanda Gopal has two questions. The first is, can the assets software, can it be controlled issuance based on the set rules for specific roles? And he's also asking, can the Summit tool integrate HRAI's DB Oracle?
Okay, let me answer the first one. Can asset softwares can be controlled? Yes, we have something called asset controller, so which can be used and control a certain set of softwares. We can call them whitelisted softwares against your blacklisted. So yes, the answer is yes. Second one, can we integrate with HRMS system? The answer is yes. So we do have that integration. So yes. So
I think we'll take a couple of more questions. So Mr. Shekhar wants to know, can the software subscription expiration date alert be raised for the software assets in the enterprise?
The answer is yes. We can have alert configurations made in the system. So you can have it 30 days before, 20 days before, based on the configuration. So the answer is yes.
Okay. And Mr. Lalit Kumar wants to know, can this be integrated with SAP for employee master?
Definitely, yes. Yes, Mr. Lalit. We have done it for some of our customers. And employee master or your procurement system, if it's been through an SAP, the answer is yes.
Okay. And Mr. Sujay Brahmachari, he's asking, does this app support history of a particular asset allocation and capture the unique IDs of accessories of an asset? For example, if a mouse is missing, will it give a real-time alert?
Let me break that into two parts. The first one is the allocation. Yes, it tracks all the allocation. But the second part of your question is if it's a mouse missing, and if you want to track that, the system will automatically not track that from an allocation, but it'll tell that it's been allocated to a specific asset, which is owned by a specific person. That's where we go up to. But if it's missing, no, that's not something which we track today.
Okay. Mr. John C. George, he's from Quest Global, and he's asking, is it possible to integrate the Symphony Summit help desk tool with SAP Ariba procurement and supply chain solutions, and he wants to know on the feasibility of integrating ITAM and ITSM and procurement solution altogether.
So if I've understood the question, let me first take the first one. If it can integrate with SAP Ariba, the answer is yes. Whether it's procurement or supply chain solution, the answer is yes. We do it with, again, our APIs. We have adapters, which we've done. But since it's a procurement and supply chain, probably we can get into a little more specifics in that. Now, the second part of your question wanted to know on the feasibility of integrating ITAM, ITSM, and procurement. So I'm trying to understand ITAM and ITSM will be from SymphonyAI and the procurement with the Ariba. The answer is still yes. So the same holds good for the previous thing. So definitely yes, the answer is yes.
Okay. So that was the last question for today. Thank you, Jayendran, for answering all these questions with so much of patience. And I'm sure those people from the audience, if they want more clarity, they would get in touch with you directly. I thank Rajsekharan and you for an interesting session on building the best asset standards, optimizing utilization with complete visibility, and a wealth of information. So I'm sure our audience has found many valuable takeaways from today's webinar. If there is anything else you want to mention, or can we just wrap it up for today?
Yes. Sure. I just want to thank everybody. And if some questions are not being answered, please reach out to my team, our team. Here we're more than happy to answer either through an email or have a phone conversation, or even meet up and give you a quick demonstration of our tools capabilities. We've really scratched the surface. There's so much more. So I'd just like to share that information. So our team is more than happy to get in touch as soon as possible and then help you out with this answers for those questions you'll have. So thank you once again, and everybody have a nice day.
Thank you, and wishing you all a wonderful Diwali ahead.